Have you ever thought about increasing the excitement of your Dungeons and Dragons game, whether you're the dungeon master or a player, by adding three-dimensional things that your miniatures can interact with and just visually increasing the excitement of the game? If so, then this video might be for you. Hello, I'm DM Dunn, and this video is going to be Dungeons and Dragons Becoming a Crafter. So I started playing this game under the impressions of it's going to be theater of the mind, just talking and verbally explaining the excitement. And I was introduced to one of my Dungeons Masters who brought actual terrain, three-dimensional things that he had built for our little miniatures to walk on and interact with, and it was really exciting. So I decided to try to do that myself. So in order to do that, well, there's a couple of things that you can do. If you're the dungeon master and you want to be a crafting DM, then by all means, it just increases not only the excitement of the game, but it also increases your workload. I have seen, it's rare, but I have seen a couple of people that are players in a game and they are actually crafting for their dungeon master. So the DM will tell them, hey, in an upcoming session, can you build a mountain? Can you build a forest scene that has a river in it, or whatever? And then they give them time to build that. So I just want to cover some of the basics, maybe show you a couple of things that I started out with my building, and you can see that they're not the best, but I'll tell you this. My motto is, any craft is better than no craft. And any paint job on a mini is better than no paint job on a mini. So if it's going to increase the fun and excitement of your game, even at just a little bit, then I say go for it. So one of the things that I did after watching some of these crafting videos, specifically, you know, the DM's Craft and Black Magic Craft, those were two of my favorite that I got a lot of information from. I kept hearing him say, you got to get insulation foam, and you can pretty much make anything you want on it. So I went to my local hardware store and I grabbed a big stack of this type of foam. I think this came with like 6 sheets of this, and it was really inexpensive. It was like, I don't know, less than $10. It was probably like about $7 or $8 for this. However, this isn't what they're usually talking about because it does have all the individual little bubbles. But this works as well too because I started with it as well. The other thing that I got is I got a handheld hot wire blade. So you plug this in and click it on and it gets hot, and you can use this to actually just melt. It's not actually cut, but to actually melt the foam away. Now when you're gonna do crafts, what I did is, because I did a pre-generated campaign, so I was doing Horde of the Dragon Queen, and so I knew, because yeah, I'm going to be pushing my players into going to certain places. I knew what they were going to be going into, and so I craft in that fashion, knowing that they're going to be encountering something, and then I'll build those things specifically. However, if you're doing like a homemade and a homebrew, and it's just wide open, and it's a sandbox type of campaign, and they're going to go anywhere, then the big key is to make whatever you make it modular and interchangeable to be used multiple times in multiple different fashions. I heard that when I started, and some of it I did that, and some of it I didn't, and now I say, yes, make sure that it's modular, you can use it again. One of the things that I did is I knew they were going to be having an interaction inside of a building, and so I made the size of the building. This is just the foam, and then I actually took the knife and I measured out with the 1-inch grids, and then I just like cut the tips in all of those, and then I painted black and then some gray, darker gray and some lighter gray. But all the other crafting videos can kind of teach you how to do those techniques, but this was one of my very first things that I ever built. And then with DM Scotty, I learned how to make, they were going into an actual church, so I made some church pews out of some popsicle sticks. These are actually some just like wooden dowel rods, and then some plastic beads that I painted. And so I made a bunch of church pews so that those were in there and that those were available. And then I also had, you know, obviously modular, you can move them around wherever you want. And then I made like a little altar, a little table. And this was some of the building blocks, like a little Jenga that you can get at the dollar store. So I just basically glued 3 of them together and painted it. Again, this is something that DM Scotty shows and talks about, and so I had that available. So now I had a room with some furniture, and the miniatures could actually fit on top of there. You got all the squares to count for the grids. I learned how to make a door at one point. Again, some popsicle sticks, a little bit of cardboard, and then a little ring, a little metal ring for like jewelry for the door handle to grab. And then I got a little piece of plastic, a little clear plastic from, I think, wrapping from like some kind of trash from like a toy or something that had a clear screen. And I just glued that to the bottom, so now it can stand wherever you need to. You can move it around, and it can be a door for you. So you can say, oh, the door moves open. So these were some of the first things that I did. And I'm going to tell you, this was a lot more fun for my players, because when they got in there, they were like, okay, we're going to, you know, move the furniture to try to barricade the door so, you know, the bad guys don't come in. And we were able to move, you know, the furniture around. And they were able to position their players so they could use it for cover and hide behind. So having the 3-dimensional things really does come in handy. And the nice thing is I still have these and I can use them again whenever I need to. So I have those. Now, the one thing that I will say that I will probably do different is I wouldn't make a base for every building you're going into. So what I learned later is I wanted to get the battle mats. And so I purchased some battle mats, and these are reversible. So there's like a grass side, there's like a stone side on this one, and then this one's got a white and like a tan. And then of course you could draw on these, do whatever you want to with them. What I wanted to do, because I heard everybody talking about no matter how much you clean it, eventually the marker sticks on there. So I bought some plexiglass from my local hardware store, had it cut to the exact same size. So I always draw on this and never on my battle mats. And that's how I increase the longevity of my battle mats for those. I also needed a tunnel for my guys to go down because they had a hallway in a cave. Figure it out, right? And so I started trying to build that. This is that same white foam again. I just cut 2 pieces and glued them together, and it was a 10-foot wide hall, and I had the sides. I just ran out of time before the game session to glue on a second side, and I also kind of would prefer it not to have the sides because it makes it harder to see from everybody looking on the table from the different angles. But I just made something like that as well too, which I don't use anymore, but I still had it because it's one of my first things that I've made. And then so I had that available. One of the other things that I wanted is I wanted the players to be able to interact with things as well too. And there came a point where the adventuring party was going to be finding some dragon eggs. And I thought, whoa, that would be really cool if I could make some kind of representation that the players could physically hold in their hands. And so I made some actual dragon eggs. And you can see I made different colors, and they do look scaly as well also. And how I made these, again, I found a video that's got regular thumb push tacks, just the metal ones. These are super cheap. And then I also got some egg-shaped styrofoam, styrofoam in egg shapes. And then what I did is I took all of these tacks, and I actually had a piece of this white foam, and I just put them all in there in big lines. And then I got fingernail polish, different colors of fingernail polish, and I painted them. And some of them I did multiple colors. Like this egg actually has purple and blue on it because I wanted to have a little bit of depth. And the black one actually has like a deep red, like, I don't know, burgundy or maroon, and black as well with some shiny in there. So I painted all the thumbtacks, and then I took the thumbtacks and I placed them inside the styrofoam, put a little glue on the tip of each one, pushed it in, started at one, started making circles, continued the circles all the way down until the complete egg was covered. Looks really cool, it looks scaly, and I tell you, everybody at my table, they thought it was pretty cool. Wasn't complicated, however, it did take time to make these. And the cool thing when you're doing something that is enjoyable for you and you get a cool reaction from people, that's what makes it worth it. I didn't do this because I figured, you know, the hours that it took me to do this, you know, I'm gonna get compensated monetarily or anything. You get compensated by the, whoa, that's awesome. And if that's enjoyable for you and it's worth it, then you can do put the time into making stuff like that. And so that's how I made those. Now, another thing that I did, and this was a really good piece because this became modular and I've been able to use multiple times, and that is my hillsides and my mountains. And I really like these. And again, what this is that white bubbly foam. And then again, I just used my little foam cutter. As you can see, obviously this is one of the corner of the pieces. And then I just took my foam cutter and then I just used it and just cut out a line that I kind of drew with a pencil. Now what I did, because I didn't want it to be thick enough, is I actually took 2 pieces of the foam, if you can see the line there, and I just glued them together, and I just used, I think, just regular like Elmer's school glue to glue them together. I just kind of threw some lines and squished it. Now what would probably be a better technique is be a little bit more efficient with the gluing, because as I was cutting through and I was cutting some of the glue, it got a little bit messy, but all you need is just a little rag. You can wipe it off and it's good to go, so not that big of a deal. But what I did is I made it multiple layers, and each layer that I got higher is I set it back a little bit farther, so there's ledges that the miniatures or the players can be on. And then with these pieces, I just got some of the foam, cut out shapes, and then I just took my thumb and I was just breaking it off. And so you see that it looks bumpy, kind of like a rock. Maybe not the best material for it, but that's what I was using at the time. And so I just put some of those rocks on there. Maybe I wouldn't glue them on permanently if I was doing it again, but these are on there permanently. Now, the other thing that I did is I painted everything like stone, like you can see on the outside, but then I went in to create like some earth tones. So I did multiple colors of different browns to paint those on there. And then a nice thing that you can get is what's called flocking, and that makes this look like the grass and the turf on there. So I just brushed on some glue and then just sprinkled this on there where I wanted it to stick. Now this was probably one of my first expensive things for what I thought was expensive. And this is a Woodlands Scenic. And when I heard about this and I was researching it, I was told that this is for train models, model sets. And so I was fresh and new to this. I didn't know any better. So I literally was trying to search the phone book, the digital phone book, for a miniature train shop. And I found one in a distant city, and so it took me a little while to get there, but nothing crazy. But I literally went down to a train miniature shop to buy this, and the reality is you could just get this on Amazon. So, and this is actually going to be in your hobby stores as well too. And this was $11, which is probably maybe a little bit more because it was a train specific shop. And I've used, I don't know, some, but obviously not very much. And so this will last you a long time, so I think that's worth the investment. A lot of people will get multiple colors. I just got one color, but you can get multiple colors so that you can also blend it up. Now what's nice about the system is that I have it 4 levels high. Each level is 2 pieces of foam, but 1, 2, 3, 4. So you could actually like remove one of the levels and still have something pretty cool. Or you could remove both of the middle levels and it would still work. And so this really changes it up. The other thing that I did that makes this really nice is that I basically made 2 different versions of this. So I have a second set as well. So now, what I was looking for initially was they were going to be going through like a canyon. And so now they've got a canyon they can walk through. But you can also butt these together. And these are not a perfect match because I wasn't planning on them being. But you can butt them together, and then you can have like the curved edge of a mountain as well too. So this is really nice, and I've got a lot of use out of these pieces. Again, they're not the best pieces, but they work pretty good. And I've had lots of battles on these as well. So those were just some of my beginning things that I've done. And I'm not going into all of the details of exactly how to make it because there's plenty of people that are doing that. I'll put some links, I think, if I can, to some of those creators down in the description below the video. Just real quick, one of the things that I probably would do different now that I have more experience is I would try to make this gap in between these two layers go away. And how you do that is you get some like wall compound for like spackling, for like drywall. And you just take it out of the tub, you can just rub your hand on there and it'll just rub right in and help make those lines, those very specific lines between the two pieces disappear a lot easier, and then you paint it and everything. So just little tricks and things that you learn as you go. But the main thing is that if you start creating something, no matter how bad it is or how bad you think it looks, your players will think it looks amazing because they haven't used it before and it's fantastic. So just kind of like trying to DM, you're not going to be perfect, but if you just start it and then you're going to grow it as you go and you're going to get better at it. So hopefully this will help try to inspire some of you guys to maybe start trying to create some of your own creations. Sure, why not? Create some of your own creations, or even just copy something somebody else has done as well too. But check out some of those crafting videos and have fun. And if you've enjoyed this video, we really would appreciate it if you could help support us by hitting the like button underneath as well as the subscribe. And if you really want to be a gracious person and really help us out, we also have an Amazon affiliate link, so you can click on that and it'll take you to Amazon. So if you were going to buy, you know, some of the Woodland Scenics or maybe one of the hot wire cutters or anything, it doesn't matter. As soon as you hit our link and go onto Amazon, it'll ask you to do your normal Amazon login, and then no matter what you buy, then we'll get a little bit of credit for it, and it does help us out. It's not much, but it does help, and everything does add up. So we definitely would appreciate that as well. So write any comments, any questions you have, any comments down in the comments section. We would love to read and see those as often as we can. And until next time, have more D&D fun with DM Done.